Hey guys, it's Mountain Walk, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about more pre-modern stuff, if you can believe it, more pre-modern stuff, more tournament thingies, all that good stuff. Now we got a big tournament thingy, even though it's beginning of February. We got the pre-modern monthly online December thing, um, which is great. Obviously the holidays. Definitely pretty busy. Takes a while to get all this stuff done because it's all done online. It's not like a Swiss format. It's done like in pods. I don't know. It's a big old pain in the butt. I've never done it because I will never play online again, whether it be Moto, Arena, or whatever, if I can help it, because that is not fun. I mean, even just playing Magic against people that just like I don't know. Anyways, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but uh, playing online pretty difficult, kind of a pain in the butt trying to get everything coordinated, especially with a bunch of people. So sometimes these things take a little bit longer to get done completely. And of course, during the holidays, and of course during these trying times with our everything else being fucking insane. Um, but yeah, that's what we're talking about today. Let's go ahead and get to it. All right, so now we basically have Death and Taxes as our sort of first deck we're talking about today, and this is pretty sweet, pretty cool. I think it's certainly doing a pretty good job of making up for its anemic sort of threats with Glorious Anthem, right, as their way to pump everything. So that's pretty interesting. Um, Limited resources, I'm not 100% sure about. I mean, this card's like, I mean, unless there's some sort of interaction I'm not seeing, I'm just not a huge fan of it. I mean, I'd rather just play more Armageddons. I mean, obviously you can tutor for it with Enlightened Tutor, and it's very good against decks that play a lot of lands or are very mana heavy, because it's mostly one-sided. But yeah, I'm not sure. It doesn't really lock them out. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's just sort of enough, like just making your control opponent sack 3 lands or something. Um, yeah. So I mean, I guess like later in the game, like if you have 6 lands, they can only have 4 lands total, right, in play. I don't know. Maybe this looks or plays better than it does, but interesting to say the least. And of course, we have Devoted Caretaker as a couple additional copies of Mother Runes, except it can protect your other permanents, which is pretty useful. Beloved Chaplain, this is a pretty interesting card. Definitely one I played a lot against back in, when I first started playing Magic in like 2002. Or, well, okay, I played against a lot in 2002, but I started earlier than that. But anyways, yeah, this card definitely stopped people from being able to kill you with just creatures. That was always pretty cool. This card always felt like super OP, when I was in high school playing Magic with my random kitchen table stuff decks against other people's kitchen table stuff decks. Um, yeah, and of course we had Weather Wayfarer, very sweet card, very sweet card. Um, yeah, this feels like really strange, like to not have any fetch lands, because fetch lands pair so well with Weathered Wayfarer. Pretty weird. That's definitely I think an oversight, even with like land tax. So yeah, I definitely play at least like 4, Flooded Strand or whatever, and in general, the splash is mostly free because you'll want to play something like Undiscovered Paradise, which will um, let you splash colors for free along with Mox Diamond, as well as enabling land tax, so you can play stuff like Meddling Mage. I mean, because you really need to focus in on what's the deck's strengths. It should be disrupting people. So you have stuff like Swords, Disenchant, and Lighten Tutor for random bullets main deck, and then sideboard you have a whole pile of silver bullets that you can tutor for. And of course, playing blue, Meddling Mage is just like so good against the control and combo decks. For the most part, that and of course very good with makes your mother runes better. Another high priority permanent they have to target, but with mom it prevents them from dealing with it, of course, and yada yada yada. Glow Rider here, of course, taking the role of Thalia, 3-mana 2/1 flyer. Not legendary though, so you can stack multiples, which is pretty sweet. But yeah, this is kind of interesting. I wonder how this worked out. But yeah, typically I'm not super high up on Beloved Chaplain. I don't think it's a bad card. I think that this feels like a little rough around the edges. I feel like there's no reason not to splash another color. Yeah, but that's okay. So what I would mostly prefer is like the deck list I posted like years ago about the blue-white Weathered Wayfarer deck, and focusing more on Weathered Wayfarer and playing more, maybe not going so far with the tax rack stuff. But anyways, this is a sweet deck, pretty interesting idea. So yeah, there you go, good stuff here. Okay, now we have, this is Tog, but it's blue, black, white. So I typically prefer a red splash on these kind of decks just because like Fire Ice is so good, as well as Red Element Blast is one hell of a card. Yeah, that's just pretty much what I'm mostly going for. Obviously Swords is okay, right? I'm not sure if that's enough to make me want to play it. Like it's fine, because you have so many counter spells against like big fat things. Like I don't feel like I ever need Swords. Vindicate's nice, right? I guess just being able to kill lands and stuff, and obviously non-creature permanences can be pretty important. Same thing with something like Seal of Cleansing or Disenchant or whatever. Again, Meddling Mage is pretty sweet though, which is probably the biggest draw to this kind of deck. Although the Enlightened Tutor sideboard stuff is obviously I'm a big fan of in control decks. So yeah. 4 City Brass seems a little excessive. Like that hurts you a ton in the aggressive matchups, which is really where your problems are going to lie, because like against other decks you just have piles of counter magic and card draw and everything, and your win is just Psychotog, so you can put in more counter magic and card draw, and so you don't really ever lose on that front. So yeah, it's kind of wonky, but pretty interesting idea. I think it's probably the first Tog, blue, black, white Tog deck I've seen. 61 cards even, if you can believe it. But that's what happens when you have so much card draw and tutoring. There's not a huge drawback on running 61 cards. Having just that extra card to tutor or draw into is pretty powerful. So anyways, yeah, nothing too wonky here. Mostly just a regular Tog deck, but Mage and Mage Plow and a couple of Vindicate and then some sideboard stuff. But yeah, there you go. Oh, also, yeah, a main deck Annul. But that's more or less the same thing as like main deck Disenchant. Because, yeah, there's a ton of artifacts and enchantments in all different archetypes, so pretty useful card. Alright, this is the Rock. This plays Rock cards. It plays Sylvan Library in the sideboard, which is really smart, and I like. Yeah, there you go. Although this one had main deck Kavutite, and I should have put a picture of that up. But that's the Kavu, that's the Grizzly Bear, right? Where you can kick it, and it's a 5-mana 5/5 with trample. So yeah, that card's pretty sweet because, well, I mean, you get a lot of flexibility with it. So it's kind of good early, but late you can just start slamming 5/5s, which is pretty sweet. So yeah, that's something. Yeah, and also the splitting up of adding more color fixing, I kind of like. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I kind of like it. Playing Undiscovered Paradise, Reflecting Pool, and City of Brass, just to just make your mana that much better. That's pretty interesting. Of course, a main deck Cradle, which is definitely not stock, very unusual. But yeah, this is mostly just the rock with Kavu Titans jammed in there. Because why not, right? Everyone likes Kavu Titan. Okay, and now we have this is a blue, black, white dreads. No, this is just blue, white. Excuse me, blue, white Dreadsteel. Um, yeah, and nothing too wonky here. We got some Parallax Tides thrown in with some Seal Cleansings to try and do that Parallax Tide Seal Cleansing thing. As well as stuff like Cataclysm, because Dreadnought's going to be the biggest thing on the board. I'm not 100% sure how good Cataclysm is, but it's kind of a sweeper for like a pseudo, it's kind of like a combo control deck thing. So that's interesting. Some of the stuff I don't really agree with, but hey, maybe it plays out better than it looks. So, yeah, cool stuff. Cool stuff. But yeah, typical blue-white control, or excuse me, blue-white Dreadnought deck, so Stifle Knot. Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right, now we have another survival deck, and the only weird thing that's not like normal, so to speak, would be the reclaims in the sideboard. Don't think I've seen those played before, but everything else looks about like, yeah, these are cards that are played in survival decks. Yeah, so there you go. I mean, yeah, it's blue, red, green, white. Yeah, got Bops, got all this sort of stuff. Idealist, Realist, and then Radiant Dragoons. I think those are all the white cards. Arcane Lab is a good blue card, right? Because the survival decks are so slow, having Arcane Lab to slow down your opponent's attacks or tax their attacks. Is that tax their attacks? That sounds weird. Anyways, yeah, survival, trade win survival, ATS baby. There you go. All right, now we have a mono blue landstill deck, and I mean this is mono blue landstill. I mean, kind of interesting against some of the more aggressive decks in the sideboard has Force Spike. Force Spike is pretty sweet. Yeah, against low land count decks, it's pretty great. Just on turn one, being able to spike their stuff and then go into regular counter mode with your mana leaks and counter spells and stuff. That's pretty sweet. Oh yeah, I guess that has Flash of Insight too. I mean, whatever. I'd probably rather just play Stroke of Genius. I guess if you really just want to like dig for one card or whatever. I mean, okay. But yeah, Rainbow Fleet, pretty sweet in this style of deck because it's you can blink it out or phase it out, I should say, with Navindra's Disc on the stack when you activate its ability. So that's sweet. And yeah, just kill people with Fairy Conclave and Mishra's Factory and stuff. And yeah, there you go. Yeah, nothing looks too weird here. I guess maybe except the sideboard Phyrexian Negators. I mean, I wonder if that's like a mistype or something, because I mean, I guess they can cast them with like Mox Time, but like typically you want to cast them fast against combo decks, so you don't really want to play two. I don't know. I bet those are probably Phyrexian Furnace or something. But yeah, weird stuff there. Anyways, is mono blue land still? Oh yeah, Soldevy Excavations. This card's kind of cool because it can do a little bit of scrying, which is sweet. I mean, literally, it just scries. And then, of course, it's kind of like it's not really like a double mana land because you have to sacrifice an island, an untapped island even. But it is pretty sweet regardless, so, it's kind of a sweet one-of, so that's cool. Okay, and this is Another deck with limited resources. And then, of course, we have Parallax Tide. And yeah, I mean, I guess limited resources pairs well with Parallax Tide because if you have like a lot of lands, then when the lands, no, wait, how does that? I'm not exactly sure. I guess they can't play any if you're able to do your Parallax Tide Seal Cleansing thing. I don't know. This seems excessive. I'm not 100% sure about that, but yeah, there you go. This is mostly the blue white Parallax Tide control deck. So yeah, maybe it's better than it looks. Maybe it's better than it looks, but you got a good strong base here of good cards. But 18 lands though. Yeah, I think we're missing a few cards because this is 52 cards. How did I miss that in the beginning when I was doing all these deck lists and stuff? I missed that they had 8 cards missed. Wow, what a dummy I am. But I'm guessing they probably have like 8 more lands, probably some Mistress Factories and or uh, some more islands. I don't know. I guess obviously not islands, Mistress Factories and spells. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, 18 lands, probably not enough for a deck like this that's playing Decree of Justice. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, oopsie there, I guess. I guess it was uploaded improperly. That's okay. That's okay. We all know what this deck looks like. We don't even need to see those extra 8 cards. Anyways, all right, and now we got a really interesting thing. This is basically like an Oath deck that oaths up Academy Rector, which probably just gets Form of the Dragon most of the time, and then Form of the Dragon will, of course, win you the game in 4 turns, and then prevent your opponent from winning the game, or at least attacking you for the most part. So yeah, pretty sweet, pretty sweet. I mean, I'm not sure how. I mean, Form of the Dragon is obviously like a pretty sweet win con. Like, obviously, it's been used in the past, but there are certainly a number of decks that play main deck disenchant effects for, well, exactly these kind of situations. So I'm not exactly sure how good it is, so to speak, but that's okay. And you kind of got like this weird sort of mini lands thing going on. You just got crop rotations. You get like Glacial Chasm, Nomad Stadium to gain some life. I guess that's mostly it. I guess you can get Ancient Tomb to ramp. I mean, that's something, but yeah. Interesting stuff here. Interesting stuff. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about this, oddly enough, even though it is a pretty interesting deck. A lot of cool stuff going on, but yeah, you just want to oath out an Academy Rector, and this only has, wait. So, okay, yeah, okay, so it just uses the Croson Reclamations to shuffle whatever enchantments back in, which I'm guessing is fine. I wonder if there's some sort of... Okay, so I guess they don't want to... Obviously, they don't want to shuffle the whole graveyard in because they use the therapies as the way to sack Rector. Okay, that makes sense. Alright, interesting stuff. But yeah, this is a pretty cool deck. Kind of another interesting take on Oath. The Oath package or whatever is pretty compact. You can just kind of put into whatever. So get another interesting brew here. Really cool stuff. Alright, this is a blue-white control deck that plays Parallax Tide and the Seal Cleansing thing. Yeah, there you go. It's, yeah. Oh, we gotta replenish. So you can get back your Seal Cleansings and Parallax Tides and maybe counter to destroyed humilities. Yeah, there you go. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Okay. And now we got something really spicy, or at least somewhat spicy. I mean, to me, it's not that spicy because I played against this deck like 20 years ago. One of my friends made a about-face Tireless Tribe deck. you know, an extended or whatever around the time of the blue-red tricks sort of era. But yeah, I mean, you discard a few cards from your hand, make your childless tribe big, and then you get him with the about face and beat him down for 20, which is pretty sweet, pretty sweet. You can also, you know, beat him down for like, I don't know, 11 or something, or 13 or whatever, and then fling it at him. All sorts of kind of cool stuff. And of course, you can use Shadow Rift, a card frequently seen play in Psychotog sideboards. Not only currently, but of course back in the day and extended, to make it give it shadow, and you can card pop, which is pretty sweet. Yeah, there's a lot of one-ofs in here, but yeah, a lot of really sweet stuff. This is a pretty cool deck. Title Bore. I'm trying to think if I've seen this card before, but I guess not. But it's a pretty interesting card. Um, yeah, you can tap or untap stuff, so get blockers out of the way, and you can play for free, which is pretty cool. Yeah, but this is really cool. Against, of course, against like removal heavy decks with a lot of single target removal, you can play Mom from the sideboard, which is pretty sweet. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on here. Yeah, so there you go. There you go. Obviously, not super good against discard, or I guess even stuff like Engineer Plague that might be tough to deal with, you know. So okay, and this is Enchantress. It's got Enchantress cards, and this nothing weird about this. 2 replenish, 2 enlighten tutor, which is more or less stock. Usually 1 to 2 replenish and 1 to 2 enlighten tutor on the main deck and or sideboard. But yeah, nothing weird here. Just Enchantress doing Enchantress stuff, killing you with Sacred Mesa. There you go. There you go. And yeah, here we go. We got mono blue land still. This one has Parallax Tide though with it, which is pretty cool. Which is, I'm guessing, more of just a temporary sort of lock piece. But yeah, kill people with Mischievous Factories, Fairy Conclaves, or the Singleton Masticore. Yeah, I got Force Spikes, Stifles, Chain of Vapor, that kind of stuff for early game interaction. Phyrexian Furnace in the sideboard, Annul, Chill, all that good stuff. Yeah, so nothing too weird here. Pretty good stuff. Yeah, there you go. That's about all there is to say about that. There's not much new here to really say. Okay, and this is, well, it's elves with survival, and it looks like more or less every other survival elf deck. Yeah, nothing weird here I don't see. Oh, well, there's Massacre. Massacre is probably not stock in these, I don't remember. And it plays two Goblin Sharpshooter in the sideboard, so maybe they expect a lot of their weenie decks or something. Obviously, Massacre is pretty good with fucking Guy's Cradle and Priest of Titanium Quirion Ranger, by the way. In case you don't know. It also dodges stuff like Engineer Plague and things like that too, so that's a pretty sweet card, so yeah, something to keep in mind, but yeah, nothing wonky here. Well Wisher in the sideboard, I don't try to remember if I've seen that. Well, whatever, good enough. Okay, this is another Parallax Tide deck with, this one has main deck Replenish, which is kind of neat. Some Stifles in the sideboard. Lonely Sandbars. Yeah, that's right. I remember Rich talking about, or someone, Rich Shea, the guy playing this deck, the same, sort of famous or whatever, or notable, vintage player. Really nice guy, real smart guy. Very big brain for sure. So I like talking to him. He's very cool. Very cool guy. But anyways, um, yeah. So that's strange. Trying to think, Stifle. I don't think most of these decks don't play Stifle in the sideboard, but that is certainly a reasonable card. Same thing with something like Absorb, Cop Red. You gotta love the E-Tutor stuff. Yeah, and sometimes we'll see the main deck Singleton replenish because it's sweet. We got Cunning Wish. And Cunning Wish for all sorts of stuff. Of course, Mana Short being a good one. Obviously in the Control Mirrors, which is just all about mana. And of course the Random Forbidding Watchtower, which is, well, obviously, yeah, it's a Watchtower and it forbids stuff. So yeah, good manland. And yeah, because it's like a manland that requires, like, typically, like, if they, it'll require, like, trading, it'll kill their creature and they'll have to burn, like, a bolt or incinerate on it. So that's pretty good. So yeah, but yeah, this is pretty much blue white, Parallax Tide, Seal Cleansing, all that good stuff, that kind of combo. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Okay, and now we have basically this is blue black Dreadnought now. This deck also has Plague Spitters in the sideboard, which is pretty cool. Very good against all the weenie decks, and as well as playing E-Plague as well. Yeah, all sorts of good sweet cards. Yeah, nothing too wonky here. Tog, of course, is a nice notable card. Just as another way to win the game. I might even want to play another one, just to have access to it at some point, you know. Plus, you can always, well, I guess if you had foil or whatever, you could always discard it to foil if you didn't need it or whatever. But this deck doesn't play foil. Just, oh no, it does play foil. How did I miss that? Am I going blind? Maybe I'm just losing it. Maybe I'm just losing it. Okay, this deck does play foil. Holy moly. This is a train wreck. This video is a train wreck. I need to just re-record this thing. Unbelievable. But you can see this guy's coming teched hardcore for like elves and creature decks. You got 2x Plague Spitter, 2x Perish, 1 Powder Keg, Smother, Vendetta. That's brutal. Engineer Plague. It's a ton of cards. Yeah, so this is pretty sweet. I definitely want to play like another Tog, just because it's so good. Because you have all this card draw and all this other random crap and trading resources, and if your Dreadnought doesn't work out, it attacks on a different axis. I mean, it's a huge creature, right? Obviously, but the ways it doesn't die to shatter effects, right? You can't disenchant Psychotog. And of course, bringing in stuff like Tormod's Crypts just isn't very good against their Phyrexian Dreadnought plans. So you can have these times where the answers are mismatched against your threats or whatever. So yeah, I feel like playing another Psychotog or two maybe might even be the best way to do this. Because these decks, I've always felt like they need additional threats, like actual threats. Because even in pre-modern, just like, oh yeah, it's got these melee mages or whatever, like that's not really going to cut it a lot of the time. So yeah, Tog's definitely a good threat to make use of all the resources you spent and built up and things like that. So yeah, pretty sweet. Definitely a good innovation. And of course, I like Disrupt. I'll always play Disrupt. The card's so sweet. Can't go wrong with Disrupt. And of course, the first place deck is just Spud or Pit Rack or whatever you want to call it. And of course, we have a nice, sweet, interesting tech. People have been talking about this for a while. Skittering Scourge. Definitely quite good in a deck that doesn't play a ton of creatures. Obviously, Plague Spitter is definitely a mainstay now, more or less a mainstay, since it's so good against creature decks and weenie decks, which you can have a lot of issues with. Clearly, it doesn't play main deck Pox, or pox anywhere, because it obviously doesn't work very well with Plague Spitter and Skittering Scourge. But yeah, I think Skittering Scourge is a pretty good clock, and it flies, and it also enables stuff like Cabal Therapy, which is quite good. So like drawing multiple Skittering Scourges isn't like quote unquote a drawback if you have multiple therapies, right? So you can still make use of the extra cards. So that's nice. I'm guessing they only play 3 Curse Scrolls because I guess they don't feel like they need the extra Curse Scrolls. Obviously, Curse Scroll is very, very slow and only very good in the late game, more or less, mid to late game. Whereas Skittering Scourge can do work starting from turn 1 even, I guess, if you have a Dark Ritual. So yeah, that doesn't seem too weird. But yeah, this is definitely really cool. I like Skittering. Well, I actually I'm not a huge fan of the card, right? Just these sort of classic Suicide Black creatures I'm not a huge fan of, because they've always felt kind of anemic and whatever. But I mean, this is in mostly older formats, not exactly pre-modern. I think they're all good to find in pre-modern. So Skittering Scourge, definitely a pretty cool piece of tech for this deck, which I like quite a bit. A lot of good stuff going on here. Typical mana base, Bottomless Pits, Scroll Racks, Cursed Scrolls, and the Rack. Discard, Instant Blood, all sorts of good stuff. Sideboard is pretty typical for these decks. Spinning Darkness against aggressive decks, red decks. Kegs, Planar Voids, Negators against, of course, those nasty combo decks. And of course, sometimes really probably bring them in against control decks too. Depending on what you're doing. But yeah, a lot of good stuff here. Real cool. Like it a lot. So yeah, there you go. It's not surprising, this one. This just has a lot of good cards against a lot of other decks. Has a great mana base. Can play a lot of good stuff. Yeah. I mean, I still like Pox. I still like playing Pox the card. I still like to include it somewhere in here, but maybe it's not needed. But I just love it. Even if it's not actually like it might not actually be the best to play 4 of them, but I love Pox. It's so good. It's so powerful. But yeah, this is certainly sweet deck. A little bit slimmer, right? Less 3 mana cards, more Skittering Scourges. Look how skittering that Scourge is. This deck is basically Phyrexian Tribal, because in case you didn't know, Plague Spitter and Skittering Scourge are both errata to be Phyrexian creatures. So it's a Phyrexian Imp, and Plague Spitter is a Phyrexian Whore. Very spooky, very scary, but if you look at them, it makes sense. Those are definitely Phyrexian creatures. So yeah, there you go. But yeah, that's it. There you go, guys. Another friggin' sweet bunch of decks. Lots of really cool stuff. And I better not be hearing any criticism about like how I missed stuff and screwed up. I will not have any of that. I will never take criticism. You can't hit me with any criticism. It never happens. Everything I do is perfect. Everything's perfect and it works perfectly. I'm untouchable. Anyways, so thanks for stopping by, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Lots of really cool, neat, interesting decks and things and stuff. Some twists on old favorites and some new things like that Oath Rector Form of the Dragon deck. Very cool. Very cool. So yeah, there you go. So thanks for stopping by, guys, and have a great day.